Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christian. Good morning, good evening, good night, good day, wherever you are, whenever you're seeing this. I hope you are good. So guys, today we're going to be talking about why I no longer use tarot cards in my services and my overall tarot journey and what has gotten me to this point. Just as a disclaimer, before I even talk about my services or anything, please do not leave any ignorant ass comments under this video. I feel like anytime I mention tarot or me wanting to read in different ways, people are always like, what? You're denouncing tarot? You're not reading tarot anymore? It's like, girl, have some breakfast before you leave a comment. But I'll get you together. But we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about how I feel about tarot. We're going to talk about this process and everything and what I feel tarot has been beneficial for on my journey. So let's just get into it. Y'all know if you want to book with me, shop with me, connect with me, work with me, check down below in the description box. The tarot classes are still available. Releasing sessions are still available. Mentorships are still available. I now have content packages for business owners looking for content. So get into it, okay? The girl is working. Now, let's go ahead and talk about, I guess we can talk about my beginnings in tarot. So whenever I found tarot, 2020, I've talked about so many stories at the beginning of my spiritual journey, but whenever I found tarot, I didn't really know anything about tarot reading, about my psychic abilities, about my gifts. I had no clue how I was able to have somebody ask me a question, shuffle these cards, pull out a message, read the message, and it's exactly what they need. I didn't really know what I was doing or how I was doing it. I just know that God led me there. That is all I knew. I was in a space where I really didn't have anything. I couldn't do my job anymore. It was the middle of the pandemic. I had just been dumped. I was in a new city. I needed to get my life together, and there was really nothing that I could have done. And I think that it was just time for me to step into my purpose and my path and my passion, which is helping people and creating a ministry of my own, a self-love ministry, a healing ministry, a ministry to get us reconnected with the God within us, with God, with Source, you know, finding our way back to who we are here for, what we're here for, what we're supposed to be doing, and just living a fulfilled life, you know, and having God as the center of that. And I think if you want a fulfilled life, God has to be the center. Now, I think that God looks different for everybody. Some people think that God is just, I'm good to people, people are going to be good to me. Some people think that God is a specific religious figure. I think that God is all encompassing, and I'm a Christian as well. I love Jesus, but I do think that God is all encompassing, and I do understand that everyone isn't going to be a Christian. So my objective on this journey was to never push people into Christianity or to make people have a relationship with God the way that I do. My purpose was always to help you have the relationship with God that God wants you to have. God might not want you to follow my path. God might not want you to follow, you know, whatever path. I also know that what works for me will not work for everybody. And I also know that God loves us all and that Jesus loves us all, whether we want to love and respect these energies or not. They are here for us and they're supporting us no matter what. And God loves us whether we're praying every day or tapping in every day. And tapping into God's love for you helps you feel worthy, helps you feel capable, helps you feel secure. It just gives you the backbone that you need to heal the people you're supposed to heal, teach the people you're supposed to teach, and love the people that you're supposed to love. There can be such a disconnect between who we want to be and who we are. And I really think that the love of God, finding who you are in God, connecting on a spiritual level, getting rid of this human insecurity and these human desires and these human fears, tapping into that spiritual power that is within all of us, that is what unlocks so much. So that's what I always wanted my platform, I guess, to be centered around. But whenever I came into this spiritual work, doing tarot readings, I did not know what I was doing. Like I mentioned, I was in a space where I really needed some help, you know, and I felt called to get this tarot deck. I got this specific deck. I remember the deck was $32 and I had to pray for the money to get the deck because I couldn't even afford the deck. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get the cheap deck. I'm going to get this deck and wait the weeks and weeks for it to come. And before it came, I did my research. I was looking up, you know, tarot definitions and wrote in my notebook all the meanings of the cards. And when the cards came, I was, you know, taking my time with the cards. And initially I got the cards so I could do readings for myself because I was watching pick cards on YouTube here and there. And I wanted to be able to do my own readings. I wanted to be able to specifically figure out what I needed to tap into for me. And I just always saw readings and card readings as just another way of getting God's messages, another way of someone being able to tap into that intuitive energy if you're not able to. And everybody isn't able to tap into God's discernment. Everybody doesn't have discernment, you know? So I do think that there is such a benefit to having a spiritual advisor, having someone do your readings. Eventually, of course, you want to be able to connect with your readings on your own and connect with your intuition on your own. But I do think that it's a service that everyone is always going to need. Just like a personal trainer. Anybody can go to the gym and look at some stuff and just figure out how to work out. But you want to guide through that, you know, so you might want to guide through what God is telling you. And I always saw that that's what readers are doing. I never thought that it was evil. I never felt like it was evil. I do remember, of course, growing up in church, you know, you talk about witchcraft and stuff, but that really wasn't in my mind. I didn't think that what I was doing was evil because I was talking to God every day about what I was doing. And it didn't even really click to me that other people thought it was evil until I got online and people were like, oh, you talking about God and you doing these cards, those two things don't mix. You don't know what you're doing. You're talking to Satan, all kind of shit. And I was like, oh Lord, people crazy. People are really afraid of this stuff, you know, so let me dig a little deeper. And then eventually I did the tarot course where I got into the history of tarot and teaching other people how to use tarot cards to enhance their intuitive gifts. Tarot for me was never a crutch, ever. It was always a stepping stone. And I remember very, very early on in my tarot journey, I watched a YouTube video of someone saying that they weren't using tarot cards anymore. And they basically were just like, this is why I don't use tarot anymore. And because when I found tarot, I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna be doing this forever. You know, I didn't think that it was gonna lead me into something else because my vision just wasn't there yet. You know, like now my vision has grown a lot, but in the beginning, in 2020, I really could only see what I was doing in the moment. So I was like, oh, this is working. It's making me money. People are connected with the readings. I'm really, really good at this. It makes me feel good on a deeper level. I'm probably just going to stick with this, you know? But I also, in the same way, kind of felt like, I don't think I'm going to be doing this forever. You know, I didn't know what was next, but I knew that I wasn't going to be doing that forever. And I mentioned in plenty of videos that my whole objective and my whole goal was to be able to do readings and services without needing tarot cards and any cards. I'm still using oracle cards, but you know, I didn't want to have to use any tarot cards or anything. So when I saw this video, it just kind of gave me like a lot of clarity. And I remember watching that video and being like, I'm going to be there one day. I'm going to be at the point where I'm like, God has used tarot to open up my intuition, unlock my gifts, connect me with a bunch of incredible, amazing people. One of my most viewed videos, if not my most viewed video, is me getting into the 72 definitions of the cards, of the tarot cards that people are still watching to this day. So tarot is a huge, huge part of my journey. And I don't think tarot is evil or bad or any of those things are wrong. I just think that, you know, from the beginning, I knew that I wasn't going to be using tarot forever, and I knew that it was going to serve a higher purpose, and it did. You know, a lot of people that connected with me through tarot or even through card readings, because I'm still going to be using cards. And I'm not going to use any oracle cards eventually either. Eventually, I won't need to use any tools. Eventually, I'll just do a reading for someone and tap into the messages without even needing any tools. And I feel like tarot gave my gifts a chance to kind of get stronger. You know, when you think something in your head and you see it in the card, it's like, yes, okay, I'm on the right track. When someone tells you something and then you pull it out in the cards, I'm on the right track. All of these things just help you trust your intuition more and more and more. Just like when people are trying to manifest. Typically people say manifest something small, you know, or when you start listening to your intuition for little things and you see those things in your reality, those little moments of confirmation really get you strong in what you believe. And because I'm such a perfectionist and such an overthinker, and I can doubt myself a lot or overthink, I think I needed tarot to kind of serve as like, one thing about tarot, it never lies. One thing about your gifts, they never lie. Like, so many things in life can be misconstrued and they can be seen and interpreted in so many different ways. But a reading, a message from God is just that. There's no gray area. It's black and white. And I think I needed that. I think I needed to connect with my gifts in a black and white, clear way versus feeling like I'm connecting with my gifts, but not knowing if I can trust them. So many of us are gifted, but we don't trust our gifts. We pull the cards and then we second guess it, or our intuition tells us something and we don't know if we should believe it, you know? And I know for a fact that that's probably how I would have been as well if I wouldn't have just stumbled into tarot and used that as, you know, the foundation for me kind of fact checking what my intuition was giving me, especially when you're working with strangers. You know, when you're working with other people, it's very, very validating and just gives you that confirmation when you're able to pull messages from people that you've never met. And mind you, this is something that I've been doing for 4 years now. So I'm very good at it. But I've been wanting to transition out of using tarot cards. And the reason between tarot and oracle cards and why I'm still using oracle cards is because oracle cards don't give you the story. Tarot provides the meat of the story, and the oracle cards kind of provide the little garnish. I am now looking at garnish and I'm like, what dish did this parsley just come off of? So it's obviously much more difficult and harder to look at a pile of parsley and be like, oh, that just came off of some red beans, or oh, that just came off some rice and gravy. Y'all know they put parsley on everything, honey. That don't even go on that. But you know, it's harder to look at those small details and backtrack it to, you know, the root of whatever's going on in someone's life. It's more challenging to do that than it is to just look at the platter and be like, oh, that's that. Because tarot is just so clear, you know, like you can't really misinterpret tarot. Even if you just look at the characters on the cards, like if someone's coming up behind somebody like this with a knife, obviously, you know, there's some issues going on there, you know, versus an oracle card would be like, good job. Literally, you pull an oracle card and it's like, let go. That's it. Those two words. Or you pull an oracle card and it's like, choose a new direction. It's like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So I think that me challenging myself to take those details and just take those words of wisdom and find the message within that is definitely going to be what leads me to not needing these tools overall. And it's exciting to me to see myself get from a point where, you know, I literally felt like I couldn't even do a reading without multiple tarot cards, until just doing 3 cards, until challenging myself to maybe do a couple of cards and then bring more oracle cards into the mix, until now being to the point where I don't even need the tarot cards. And a couple of years ago, I stopped doing tarot cards immediately in my messages and in my one-on-one sessions. Like, we would talk first. I would give them advice. I would chime in on what they're feeling and how they're feeling. I would ask them questions. They would get so much clarity from just what I was saying. And then I started bringing the cards into the mix, maybe 20 or 30 minutes into the reading. So I've been kind of integrating less cards and more of my organic gifts anyway. So this is just a natural next step for me to transition out of using tarot cards. The tarot course is still going to be available because I will still teach you tarot, honey. Don't play. And I still love tarot, and I think that tarot is very, very valuable still. I'm just grateful to be at the point where I can perform my services and I don't need to use the cards. Will I use the cards ever on readings here? Probably not, to be honest. I am going to be giving away a majority of my cards. Now, I did a tarot class like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I was supposed to give away a bunch of cards, and I literally never did it because I just got very, 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 very overwhelmed. And I'm more in control of my mental health now than what I was 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, if I get overwhelmed with something, I'm just going to probably avoid it at all costs. But I am definitely going to finally tackle that. So I am going to be reaching out to the people that were in that class a couple of years ago to reach out to them and make sure that they get their decks from me, because I'm definitely going to send those decks out to you guys. And whatever decks that I do have left over, I probably will give those away to y'all. But yeah, probably except for my very first deck. I'll probably always keep my first deck, but the other cards, I'm sure I'll be giving those away. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to share this little transition and this little period of evolution in my life and in my gifts. And I think that it's always great to do what works for you and not really worry about what people say or what people feel. I've had people say so many terrible things to me over the years about how I use tarot and how I do this and how I do that. And I'm not even using the cards no more. You know, people speak on so much stuff and don't even know it. People hold stuff against you and don't even know if that's what you're going to be doing forever. You know, so a lot of people even find tarot and then they end up finding something else because tarot unlocks something for them that they don't like. So they find something else. And what I mean by that is you always want to be very careful when you're working with spiritual work. And it's just not for everybody, and you want to be careful. And if you're in a space where you have a dark mind, if you have a dark heart, if you're around negative energies and negative people, if you're in an unhealthy environment, if you don't know how to self-regulate, if you don't know how to take care of yourself, and you get some tarot cards, it's a chance that you may end up attracting some things to yourself that are not super, super healthy. Just because we are spiritual magnets, and when you open that spiritual door, the only thing that you're going to welcome in are things that are going to be supporting what you're doing. Whenever I started reading tarot, my mind was right. Okay. I was in a space where I didn't have nobody but me and God. I was in a new city. I didn't know anybody. My person had broke up with me. So it was me and my cats. I didn't have a job anymore, so I couldn't work with anybody. All I had was me and God and the people that I was connecting with through tarot. I wasn't in any unhealthy relationships or anything. I was taking my ashwagandha. I've been working on my mental health for the last couple of months. I had been going outside all day. I used to even do my live readings outside and do yoga, sessions outside and stuff like that. So I was just in a space of healing and I was ready to step into it. If I would have found tarot maybe in 2016 or even in 2015, I probably would have been like, oh my God, this is evil. This is fucked up, because it probably would have introduced me to some evil things. Not because the tarot is evil, but because it opens you up to spiritual energies. And I had people around me that I did not need to have around me. I was not who I needed to be. So I think that tarot is something to take very, very serious. But it is something that can unlock so much for you if you're using it in the right way and if you feel led to it. If you feel led to tarot, then get into it. Pray about it first. Ask God what you're supposed to do. Go to the store or look online and figure out what calls to you. Really have a conversation with God about what you're doing and why you're being called to do this. I always knew I wanted to help people. I went to school for psychology because I wanted to be a therapist. I'm not surprised that I have to bring God into it and bring spirituality into it, because a lot of my life has been based off of, spirituality and God. I grew up in church. You guys know this. So I think that everything has fallen into place as it needs to. I needed tarot in the beginning so I can get confident with myself, so I can attract people that were attracted to tarot and then introduce them to another approach to tarot and spirituality, so I could trust my intuition more, so I could just have another means of confirming the things that God was already saying to me. And not in saying that what God says isn't enough, but in saying that we're human, So if you're human and God says, I see you being a millionaire, and you're broke, you're single, you just got dumped, you have no money, you've been cutting up your clothes and dyeing your clothes and doing all kind of different random stuff. Now, this is me. I'm using one shirt in 17 different ways, changing it and dyeing it and switching it up and cutting the sides and doing all kind of stuff to get as many looks as I can out of the couple of clothes that I have. And also, y'all know what too? I ended up winning a $300 haul from some Chinese brand. It was like a Shein, but it was like Shein before Shein. And there was this YouTuber that I used to watch, and she did like a $300 giveaway of like $300 worth of clothes from this company. And I submitted to win the giveaway and I won it. And I've never won a giveaway before. And they sent me $300 worth of clothes. And those were the clothes that I used probably my entire 6 months before I was able to get back to Dallas and get back on my feet again. I had won $300 worth of clothes, and I was using those clothes and flipping them and doing all different kind of stuff with those clothes so I could get my looks off and have outfits to wear in my videos. So everything quite literally just fell into my lap, and I was able to have all of the things that I needed. I was able to connect with some really, really great, amazing people through tarot and through the work that I was doing. And I've connected with so many people who I mentioned before in a live that I did recently, that a lot of the people that I connected with in the beginning of my spiritual journey, they are now hoodoo priestesses, and they have high rankings and, their religious practices, and they're doing all different kinds of work, So I think that I have elevated in the work that I do, and I think that I have found my specific lane. And I think a lot of us have started with tarot and crystals and sage and Palo Santo and the lavender and the bath blends. I think a lot of us have started with the 333 manifestation method. If you're the OG spiritual girl, from 2015 to 2018, then like the metaphysical energy, people were already stepping into that and learning a little bit more about that, about energies, about frequencies, about vibration, about how we attract things in the world, the law of attraction, quantum jumping, quantum physics, all of these different things. And I feel like even though we got into our spiritual walk through those things, we've been led to different paths, to serve in different ways, to connect with people in different ways based off of how we look, where we come from, what our expertise is. A lot of people maybe needed to see someone that loves God and loves Jesus using tarot cards, because maybe God told you to get some tarot cards, because that's the only way that you'll be able to have a safe space to get confirmation. If you don't have anybody else in your life that you can say, hey, how do you feel about this? Or, hey, I've been praying and I'm not really sure. Having cards lets you kind of have like a physical conversation with God. You know, I really see it as you writing a note to God. And then when you get those cards, the message in those cards, it's like God writing you back, because that's where the message is coming from. You know, when I've done my readings, I always pray that God gives me a clear mind, that I'm able to see what I need to see, hear what I need to hear, feel what I need to feel, think what I need to think, so I can give the messages and know the messages as I need to know them, that God gives me a clean heart and a clean mind, that I'm protected from negative energy, that any energies that I am connected with while I'm doing the readings, that they return back to God afterwards. I have never, any dark spirit or anything that I saw was before when I was a child, okay? Any dark spirit or anything spooky or scary, any shadow stuff that I saw was when I was a kid. Never have I had a demonic nightmare or seen demons or even seen anything crazy since I've been doing this work and using tarot. And before I had when I had my second spiritual awakening in Atlanta that I talked to you guys about, the 30 days of night, when I had those terrible 30 days, I wasn't even using cards. This was before I found tarot. I didn't find tarot until I got my mind right. I didn't find tarot until I was taking my vitamins, eating healthy, going outside, out of that relationship, finding myself again, on my way to healing, talking to God, saying, who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be? The pandemic happens. Let me just focus on my YouTube. I don't know what to talk about. Full moons are coming up. I'm interested in, full moons and new moons. I like the energy of that. Maybe we should talk about that. I started doing releasing rituals. They really, really worked for me and helped me heal and release things. I realized that releasing rituals are actually just journaling exercises that therapists always recommend, where you write a letter and you burn it. So I was able to just see all of the things that I've been wanting to do connect to what I was being told to do. And I think that a lot of people think that stepping into these things will inherently bring you evil or inherently bring you darkness. And that is not true. It is not true. Take it from me. It is not true. It is true, though, that when you step into these energies and your spirit is not right, that you do make yourself more susceptible to spiritual attack. That is true. If you have people that don't like you around you and you're not sure if they don't like you, you get into this work, they will change on you. Because everything in this world is spiritual. And when you start asking spiritual questions and getting spiritual answers, you start to see spiritual things, It's like if you go to school for therapy like I did, you go to school for psychology, right? You take an adolescent psychology course and they tell you if someone's a middle child, they act like this. If someone's an only child, they act like this. Children that are a product of divorce act like this. When someone doesn't grow up without their mom or their dad, it affects their psyche like that. So now when you see people, you'll be like, oh, you is a middle child, you act like a middle child. You'll be like, oh, is this person only child? You'll start to see that. So when you start doing these readings, you'll be asking yourself, is this person giving me 5 of wands? Are you giving me competition? Are you giving me jealousy? Is this person giving me backstabbing? Is this person giving me deceit? Especially when you're doing your readings every day or every week. It's the same thing as when you pray to ask God and you're like, God, reveal to me what needs to be revealed. It's the same thing, because then when those things start revealing themselves, you'll be like, oh, I didn't even see this before I asked, And sometimes we don't trust ourselves enough to trust what God tells us. And it's not about trusting God. It's about not trusting yourself enough. Because I trust God. I trust God with everything. I trust God with anything. I know God will always come through. I trust God more than I trust myself. I trust God more than I trust anybody. So if God tells me, like I just said, you're going to be a millionaire, and I have trouble believing that, it's because I'm thinking, I'm not good enough to be a millionaire. I'm not smart enough to be a millionaire. I'm not equipped enough to be a millionaire. You sure, God? Me? And sometimes you need that clarification. And that can come from somebody saying, you know what, you're going to be a millionaire one day. And it can also come from you doing a reading, because I ain't got no time to ask somebody what God say. I need to pull out that little box, shuffle, and get into it, So yes, I think that, there has to be a connection, some type of phone line from heaven to here, from the heavens to here, from God to us. And I think that sometimes it will be tarot cards. Sometimes it'll be oracle cards. Sometimes it'll be talking to your pastor one-on-one. Sometimes it'll be meeting up with your prayer group. Sometimes it'll be maybe visiting your parents, at their gravesite and having a talk with them there and feeling God's presence. It's so many different ways that we connect with God and that we feel God within us. And I think it's just important to give yourself an opportunity to step into that, and don't feel like you just have to do something because other people are doing it. Ask God before you step into anything, you know? I know for a fact that I even had people when I started doing tarot readings, I thought I was biting them. I thought I was copying off of them. And like I said, that's not even what I'm doing anymore. And eventually I won't even need cards anymore. So I think that it's important to just not worry about other people's perception, because people are going to think what they think about you. It's important for you to do what you want to do. I am a psychic. I have gifts. God has given me certain gifts. You are a psychic as well. We all have the ability to know things that we cannot see because God has told them to us. If God told you that you were going to be a mother and the doctor said you weren't going to be a mother, but you believed God and you had that baby, you're a psychic. And you're also a witch and a magician because you brought that into your reality, believing God and having faith in yourself. Now, maybe somebody else is doing it outside, with a chicken foot in a cauldron somewhere, and maybe they're doing something a little bit different, but the intention is what matters. The intention is what matters. What you're working with, what you believe, what you put your faith in is what matters. Do you believe that it's a chicken foot in the water that's doing it? Or do you know that God is connecting with you in a way to move things around so you get what you need? And that's how I feel about this journey of tarot. I think that I needed tarot because, one, a lot of y'all needed to see me with tarot to know that it's not all evil, to know that you can be led by God to do certain things. Because imagine how many people had to be drug addicts to now become people that get people off of drugs, Imagine how many people that had to go to school and drop out to tell people, you can go to school and drop out. Imagine how many people had to, do anything just to give it up, I think that we're led to things for different reasons. And not to say that reading tarot is the same as being hooked on drugs or anything, but people will judge you for what you're doing. People will judge you. Even if you start your business, people are going to judge you. Even no matter what you do, people are always going to judge you and be like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And if you stop doing it, people are like, well, why are you not doing it? People are always going to have something to say. But that's why you have to trust yourself, trust your mind, trust where you're going, and have faith in you all the time, because God will lead you to where you need to be. And when I saw that YouTube video of that young lady saying that she didn't need tarot anymore, that God was taking her into other places and that she didn't think tarot was evil and none of that, but it just wasn't her season anymore, I was like, okay, I know that I'm not going to need this always, because I also would be in moments where I'm like, do my gifts exist outside of tarot? So I knew that it wasn't going to be something I was always going to have to use. I knew that eventually I was going to be in a space where I could rely solely on my gifts without any type of tool confirmation, And I think that it could be the same as someone, hearing something from God and saying, you know what, let me read this Bible, or let me flip open through the Bible and just see what I'm supposed to step into. Like when people say, if you ever need to find out what God wants to say to you, just flip through the Bible and whatever page it lands on, that's the message. If you don't think that's a tarot reading, then you dumb. You're stupid. And I like calling people dumb and stupid, but that's dumb and stupid. What's the difference between that and shuffling some cards? Clock it. So, yeah, I feel like we all have different ways that we allow God to confirm things for us, but eventually you don't need that backup confirmation. Eventually you're in a space where your gifts are enough and you can trust that voice, and the human part of you that needs to double and triple check isn't as prevalent as it was once before. And I don't think that God shuns us for needing to triple check, because God knows how we see us. God sees you how he sees you. So of course he's saying you're going to change lives. And you don't know how you're going to change your life. You can't spell change your life. Okay, that's how you feel about it. When old folks hear you talk about something you ain't supposed to be talking about and they say spell it, they like, girl, you don't even know the half of it. Sometimes that's how we feel about our destiny. Like, girl, I can't even spell my destiny. I don't know half of it. I can't even sound it out and get it right. And God knows that about us. Sometimes God knows they're not going to believe this about themselves. So you might be shown a movie or a Bible verse or a reading or something that gives you that confirmation, because God uses everything for his glory. He truly will. He'll use everything. He'll use a bad relationship. He'll use a great relationship. He'll use a Bible verse. He'll use a group of friends that don't like you. He'll use a group of friends that love you. He'll use something that's going to maybe give you a nightmare and then give you the vision of a lifetime. You know, God just gets us there however we need to be gotten there. And I think that tarot served a really, 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 really big purpose for me in the beginning of my journey. And I'll always be connected to tarot in some way, because again, I still have my tarot course. We're still getting into it. And of course, you guys can always ask me questions about it and things like that. But yes, I am no longer using tarot cards in my sessions. So if anything, prepare for a deep read, honey, because the readings that I have been doing without them cards, baby, it's a read, honey. It is a read. It is a true, true, true read. And I don't know. I think that it's good that we use, you know, these things to kind of help us along the way. But being able to see clearly without needing those things is really, really priceless. So yes, I hope this message resonated with you guys. I hope that you are excited for me, like I'm excited for me. And we're definitely going to be doing some more collective spreads and collective messages with the oracle cards. If there's oracle cards that you guys like and you want to see me use, let me know. But yes, I wanted to give you guys this update and just kind of let y'all know that I am almost there. And if you, I'm almost there. Who y'all think they're going to get to play Princess Tiana? Who y'all think? But yeah, let's get back on track. So I'm really excited to be almost to the point where I don't need to use cards anymore at all. And if you've been here for a while, then you know that it's always been my goal to get to the point where I can just do my work without needing any cards. And I am going to be there soon. And every time I say that, I still have a little doubt, because I'm like, how am I even going to know what to say first though? Like, and even though I've done messages just strictly based off downloads, it still seems crazy to me that this is something that I could just do in my head without any tools. But the more and more I step into it, the more and more I believe in myself. But, you know, it's still something I have to get comfortable with and trust. But I'm glad to be getting to the point where I can really feel comfortable with it. So yes, I will be seeing you guys next time. Let me know how you guys feel about this. And I will be seeing you guys next time. If you guys want me to talk more in depth about the ways that you can use tarot and stuff like that, I'll be happy to get into it. But yes, I will see you guys later. I love y'all, and I thank you guys for being here. Bye guys. Bless.